I offer my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. I pray that He guides me and gives me the right words to convey His glory and the grace that He bestowed upon our family. The topic that I had dealt with, that means the theme under which I spoke the last 2 times, about Sai being the Kalptaru, the wish-fulfilling God who fulfilled many of my wishes and also the wishes of others through me. I could narrate many incidents. The concluding part of that, a wish that Swami fulfills, I would like to narrate now in the beginning of this talk, and that will lead on to the topic for today. All along during the last 2 sessions, I've been narrating various incidents, how Swami fulfilled my wish or somebody's wish, fulfilled my wish, another person's wish, my parents' wish, or a student's wish. All those were, in all those wishes, when I was talking, after the first talk, I got this thought, how should I conclude? I was thinking, there is one person's wish which I'm not considering, I'm not talking about, and I should end with that. Can you guess who that person is, whose wish I had not mentioned at all? That is Swami himself. What is Swami's wish which got fulfilled or which I had to fulfill? Was it always my wish? What I wanted? Was it always that which Swami wanted? Not always so. Unless we are attuned to Him, unless I've surrendered totally to Him, I'm totally attuned to Him. Like Swami gives the example of the radio. In the radio, all the sound is there, all the channels are there, but you cannot hear the music or the talk unless we tune into that frequency, to that wavelength. In the same manner, unless we tune into Swami's wavelength, unless we live the way He wants, unless we follow His commands, we may not be fulfilling His wish. We may not even know what He wants. But He is patient. This God is all gods, and we have seen God acting in front of our eyes. God is patient. God allows for our mistakes. He allows for our ignorance. So He waits for us to understand, like a child. All of you who are seated here, mothers or fathers, you know, you have seen the pain of bringing up a child, the difficulties. Often the child will not understand what is good for itself. So you have, as a student, as a teacher, I've dealt with living with the students. I've been in a similar position, sometimes denying them, making them upset, angry. The Divine Mother, the Divine Protector, Father and Mother, and the Caretaker, He also knows the best for us. So often our wishes don't get fulfilled. We do not know why certain things happen in our life. If you are a non-believer, then we condemn God immediately. Oh, there is no God. There is no God. He doesn't understand. See, I'm suffering like this. And if we are believers, then we complain to Him. We say, God, Swami, why am I suffering like this? I worship You. I pray to You. Why should I suffer like this? Where have I gone wrong? Why you have not given me this? Why you have given me that? This is a typical complaining that happens in every devotee's and believer's life, at least sometime. Unless we are of Kunti type, Kunti category. Now we have various categories. If you take TVs, you have various categories. Smart TVs, ordinary TVs. You have phones, you have smartphones or button phones. Even in human beings, among devotees, Swami has given 4 classifications, 4 types of bhakta. Swami has said. The final type of bhakta, the jnani type, is one who accepts that God knows everything. He leads our life. Everything is for our good. So we'll stop asking. We don't have any desires or demands. How many of us are really at that stage? How many of us do even know, appreciate, or glimpse at the stage to try and reach that. We do not know. We cannot assess ourselves, nor should I try and assess the people around me. Only God and only God can assess a devotee and know his worth or his level. But then what is the solution? What is the solution for our disappointment or our frustration or our anger or expectations or wants? The best thing to do is follow the Gita's commandment, one line which is oft quoted, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That is, we can only act, we have the right to perform karma action, but we do not have the right to look into the fruits of our actions. But how do we know that we are acting correctly? That is where Swami has given us so many lessons. What is the right way to follow him? How to know what Swami's wishes, Swami's command is. I'll tell you one small, hilarious but serious incident. Then we have this Strai Brindavan. Some of you would have seen or pictures. Strai Brindavan is a round building, and inside you have an inner circle, and the center of it is hollow. There's a hall at the ground floor. Strai Brindavan has one floor. This cylindrical thing goes straight up, and it ends with a nice design, lotus, open lotus kind of design. That's the central part of this entire building, which is in the form of an open lotus. The central hall, we call it as a round hall, where Swami's photograph is kept. Swami would sometimes sit, but mainly in the ring-shaped building, there'll be one curved hall with a jula at one end, where boys will sit, boys and guests and teachers will sit. And in the inner hall, again, boys will sit the extra, the overflowing, they will be seated inside. Some will prefer to sit there, skip seeing Swami throughout. Why? Because after the program, when Swami gets up, he'll go through that hall, they'll have a chance. Swami may pass by them, by that path. So just for that one chance of Swami passing by and possibly look at him and talk to him, the boys will skip sitting in the central hall and just listen, may not be able to see. Some will prefer this. There was always a mad rush for the, boys had a way. They used to form token lines like we form here, because it prevented boys. There were boys who used to get up at 12 o'clock I'd come reserve the place, and all kinds of odd things, eccentric things used to happen. So the teacher in charge of discipline, he came up with the idea, have token lines. You can come and sit, tokens will be selected, 1, 2, 3, line 1 will go. But even in that, there'll be a mad rush. They will run in the last stage, try to capture that 1.1 position. 1.1 position was right at Swami's feet, where there was a footstool. When Swami comes and sits, he'll push the stool very gracefully and smartly. He'll push the footstool with the back of his foot and then keep his feet on somebody's lap. Often he would do that. So there's a fight for that number 1 position. Fight, not exactly handicap, but the really smart ones won that place. So first row was numbered as 1.1, 1.2 according to distance, then 2.1. After the third row, the charm was not there because Swami could not access, could only see. So there was a fight for the first 3 rows and about 6 boys in each row, or 18 boys. That was a nice charm, the way they used to go dashing. At the end of it, Swami will come to the central hall. At the end of evening, generally it'll end the evening session, there'll be a talk or something, or some music program. It'll end with few bhajans. Then Aarti. As soon as Aarti starts, Swami will receive the Aarti. Swami will walk into the central hall and he'll spend the time. Swami never had a fixed schedule, and that was a charm of it. It's not that at the third line will be this swar, at the last line will be climbing this. That's nothing like that. So sometimes he'll stay in the hall, linger on. Sometimes quickly he'll rush through the students. He'll go up the staircase, and from the top, from the balcony, you'll lean on the parapet wall like this and listen to the Aarti. So one day he was leaning like that, listening to the last lines of the Aarti. It got over. It ended with Jai. There's one teacher who had a very loud trumpet-like voice. He'll say Jai Bolo Bhagwan, a very high-pitched voice, and all boys will respond according to the situation. Sonorously, loudly, they'll at that high pitch, Jai, they'll shout. But that day, hardly anybody shouted. The main reason was all are looking at Swami, they're enjoying that. That many boys will not even sing or follow. They'll just be looking at Swami. So there was voice was scattered and very low. Then Swami asked, what happened? No petrol? Petrol, this Swami's way of saying that you don't have energy. No petrol, no energy. He said that and walked into his room. Sometimes he'll go directly to the dining hall in one direction, or sometimes he'll go to his room to maybe whatever, he'll go to the personal room to groom himself, and we'll wait till he comes out. So that day he told this, what, no petrol, no energy, no sound, and then he went inside. Before he will take few minutes to come, he would take. In that few minutes, that teacher and myself, I signaled to him, we just conspired, said, okay, we'll do that. When Swami came out, we shouted, Jai Bolo Bhagwan. The boys caught on, they knew what it was, because Swami commented that we didn't shout. So the entire hall reverberated, Jai, they all shouted. The first moment when we started Jai Bolo, it was so unscheduled, Swami stopped in his track, as if he was disturbed or something. Then he listened. It got over. Then this incident shows how Swami can never be caught. That means you can never catch him in an uncomfortable position where he has no reaction. Swami just waited after the Jai. He said, like this, if you follow every command of mine, then you'll be good. We all felt ashamed. We thought we were outsmarting Swami. Swami outsmarted us. If that is the word, right or appropriate word. As I said, fulfill every wish of mine. Are you ready? The small one, you did it. It was easy for you. That these are my thoughts. Swami must have meant, oh, this shouting Jai, shouted loudly now. Will you do that every time? There are occasions again it petered out. How steadfast are we? How firm are we? And how we hold on to that, to our initial inclinations, in that excitement, in that effervescence, we say, Swami will do this. Once in a while, at least once every year it used to happen, Swami will get upset with the boys. Swami will stop talking to the boys. It was so miserable. Swami, you all must have experienced Swami, or you would have seen Swami blessing people, showering his blessings and grace, talking, giving attention. If Harish Thakur was there, he also would have experienced. Anybody who have been associated with sometime with Swami in a physical manner would have experienced at least one in his lifetime. I experienced 2-3 times only that is Swami ignoring you, going out of form. The way he used to do, if you're 3 standing, one yourself and the next person, he'll come walking with a big smile, relaxed manner. Sometimes look at this person and just put his head down or just withdraw his sight. Blank eyes, it'll just pass by you as if he don't exist. Forget that he doesn't want to look at you. He will just, you're blank, as if there is some space there, empty space there. You look like that. Next person, kab aaya, kaisa hai? It used to be so hurting to be ignored like that. Many have experienced that. That was his way of punishing for correction by withdrawing his attention. He used to do that. So when that happens, boys will watch 2-3 days, then they'll plan. Some boys will stop eating food. Some boys they'll say, oh, I'm talking too much, I'll stop talking. There will be a lot of improvements in the behavior. The students' noise level will go down. And then one day will come, we should catch Swami. There's no fixed time scale, 3 days, 1 week. It has gone even for 15 days once. Because sometimes he will stop boys from the way he reacts. He'll just withdraw. That time you could sense his power. We all used to think daily, talking so freely, we can catch him, touch him, or ask him anything. But once in a while, he used to assert himself the way he used to become the Gambhir, the power, you'll shrink, you just shrink back. So only when he gave the opportunity that we could go near him, access him. We used to say in those days, Swami was like Krishna, free, jolly in Vrindavan, like Shiva and terrible in Prashantlayam. That was our classifications, our categorizing Swami. And in Ooty and all, he was just a child. He was so happy. Ooty, Kodaikanal, Shivam, Sundaram, used to travel. Few days, that was sort of set in this month, in this week, he would go. it was set for many years. Swami had a schedule like that. Till Prashant Liam became very, very active. After institute came, Swami started spending more than 75% of 90% of his time in Prashant Liam. But for more than 2 decades, first 2 decades of the institute, out of the 90% of his time in a year, he spent up to 75% for the students. Up to 75. He used to say, and it was, yes, it was no exaggeration, it was a fact. He used to give so much time for the students. Still, he didn't give up his devotees. It was so marvelous that when a birthday function gets over or Dashra gets over, the next day, as if to compensate, next 3-4 days, he will call double the number of devotees for interview. It is not that, oh, birthday got over, 3 days, relax, go to summer retreat. Not for a Bhagwan. He never took time off, never rested. The next day, we knew that's it. We have to sit back, we'll be ignored because devotees will be called in big numbers. 2-3 batches for interviews, each batch 10 to 20 people used to call. That 1 week or about 1 week after a major festival in Prashanti Nilayam. So coming to the point, wish. What is Swami's wish? This is what we need to find out. His physical presence is not there, but he can guide us. He does to a lot of people. He appears in the dream. I shouldn't say dream. He appears in our sleep. Swami himself says, when I come, it's not a dream, it's a vision. So when Swami comes in our sleep as a vision, he may guide us. He may tell us what he wants from us. Or if we sit in silence, it is as Swami himself has said, as it is written in the Vedas, only in the depths of silence can the voice of God can be heard. And that voice of God is the voice of conscience in every human being. If we can detach ourselves from all our weaknesses, from all our desires, if we can detach our mind, then we can listen to that voice. After that, it requires great mental strength to follow that voice and to implement what we heard there. That is Swami's wish, I understand. My today's topic starts from here. I want to talk about my mother, which was my original intention. Speak about my mother and about my sister, a sister who passed away, the third child. The fourth, first one died at childbirth. So that way she is a fourth. My brother, one sister, second sister and myself. We are 4 surviving. 4 were there. The third one, the sister, Uma Maheshwari. We used to call her as Uma Maheshwari. She was 4 years older to me. 1956 she was born. I was born in 60. Her birth itself was difficult. I think I mentioned this previous time, but just for continuity, I'll mention that again. When she was the child was not coming out. The birth was delayed by about half an hour. The doctor said that the umbilical cord was twisted around the neck and they were unable to take it out. So they somehow pulled the child with that. In the process, the neck got tightened. And because of that, the blood flow to the brain was arrested for about half an hour. The child was born, she didn't cry. She didn't cry at all. They thought she was dead, but she survived. The doctor said, this child will live. She'll live like a normal human being. Body growth will be there, but the mind will not grow. She will have the mental age of 2, 3 or 5-year-old child. And that's how she was. Apart from that, she was a very nice, cheerful girl. She was very happy, never complained. No indiscipline like me. She never gave any problem to the parents. She never troubled anybody. But then she was like a child. She didn't know anything about the world. So innocent, so innocent. I wouldn't like to call her as childish. I would like to say she was childlike, guileless, no negative feelings. Just she was pure. She was pure, which was certified by Swami later. She was pure. She was intensely religious. Anything father will say, read this book, Swami's book, she will read. She won't understand. She studied till 5th standard. Somehow she survived. Seeing her condition, she was just promoted. But when she was into the 5th standard, she was the teachers said, we can't manage her anymore. Please take her away. Because sometimes she used to go into bouts of anger when the teachers could not understand. She was very good in maths and English, very good in maths, in additions and all. Okay, so we took her out. Then, they tried to educate her. My parents tried, but it didn't enter. They gave up. Being they themselves are intensely religious, they took it as she is a God child. Let us not trouble her with this worldly knowledge. Let her grow as she grows. Let her take care of her. And that's how she came up. She was very well protected. She grew up, she matured as a girl. She was like a normal woman. She lived up to the age of 40, but she never grew mentally. But her bhakti increased tremendously. She used to chant Ashtotram as a young boy. That time I didn't know. I used to mock at her the way she used to lisp and say. Only after I grew, I also understood her. When I matured, I could realize and understand her. And even conversely, she was my pain. She'll always watch out what mistakes I make. I used to bite my nails. Amma, see, he is biting the nail. Amma, he didn't keep the thing properly. Amma, he didn't do this. Amma, he didn't do that. Amma is still sleeping. He's not getting up. So she was like that. She was my conscience keeper, which I realized later and appreciated later. I could love her only later, much later. My brother has a great love for her right from beginning. Had a great love for her. And anybody who would see her would immediately get attracted to her wonderful smile and her guy-like, innocent behavior and talk. She knew Tamil well, smattering of Hindi and English. And with that, she used to manage and talk to everybody with that broken languages she used to speak. She used to write sincerely Om Sai Ram, each day page. And if she could not finish, you couldn't budge her from the place. She'll tell mother, what you keep disturbing? I'm writing Om Sai Ram, another 10 are left. And you want me to come for lunch? Don't disturb me. And it was nice fun watching her getting angry like that. For all good things. Like that she lived. But there's another aspect of her. Along with that intense spirituality, she also underwent intense suffering. Intense suffering. I cannot imagine, I cannot narrate that right from day one. But some things I've heard from mother and many things I've seen when I could appreciate, when I matured, I could see and appreciate the suffering she underwent. She used to get lots of boils on the head, keep scratch or not scratch, faces, skin used to peel. And I've seen with my own eyes, the lines along both the palms will just split and pus used to ooze from that. No medication helped. 1 to 2 millimeter deep, the split used to be. And deep inside, the pus blood oozing. She will sit like this as if she's meditating. That's the only way she could keep. She used to squat and keep the palms open. Once in a while, tell mother in a very calm voice, Amma, it's paining. That's all. She never cried or made a fuss, never troubled mother, never troubled anybody. She lived her life peacefully. The last 15 years of her life, that is, she passed away in 1995, around 1980, she started developing fits. Probably because of indigestion, she had a big body, bloated up body, no exercise, she didn't believe, she was weak, otherwise legs were weak. So gas developed. Because of that, she could not breathe or sometimes phlegm will form. So she started developing fits. And at the end of the fits, bout increased. We got treated, we used to for more than 10 years. She was on medication. Gardinol is a pacifier, nerve pacifier it is. You could get only 1 month supply, 30 days supply only I used to get from the Bangalore Mental Hospital, NIMHANS. I used to go there, stand in the queue, get the medicine, send it to Parthi. In those days, communication was so difficult. For about 10 years, I did that seva for her, sending medicine every month for about 10 to 15 years, sent medicine. She was peaceful, but then she used to get these fits. When Swami was in Parthi, most often Swami used to be in Parthi in those times, started spending more time in Puttaparthi. So mother used to take her to the darshan. She can't leave her alone. Mother didn't want to mess. So she used to take her and pray, Swami, she doesn't get fits there. For many years, she never got fits. But then one day, my mother told she came back. She looked so depressed that day. I was in Parthi. First round of darshan was over. Second round, that means all will, the front line will recede back, will recede up to the line only people could sit. All in the first block, all that will be cleared. I'm talking about ladies side and gents side both. And from there, from the lion's line, that is from Yajur Mandir, straight line up to the lion. Only along that people used to sit. The old ladies were seated. My mother used to sit next to the lion, lady side lion. So one day, Swami came for second round. He had finished and he was standing in the portico and watching the people. My sister got the fits, and it was a full-blown one. And when she gets a full-blown, foam will come in the mouth, and legs and arms will just go this and that. And after that fits gets over, it used to last anywhere from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. The fits will last, violent fits. Nothing could help. All this key business and all that is bunkum actually. That keeping steel, holding it. Really what I read was if you keep in the mouth, keep something hard, that prevented the patient from swallowing or biting the tongue. That is the purpose. Anyway, nothing worked. Then after the fits got over, she used to snore loudly. It was so loud, and she would sleep like that for half an hour, 1 hour. And when she used to get up after that, she used to have splitting headache, which lasted the whole day. For next 2-3 days, she would have been totally down, physically crushed. Then she'll recover. So the fits used to come once a month, frequency increased. Even with God, it increased. We tried homeopathy, it didn't work. It increased. Often it will come 2-3 days succession, 2-3 times in a day. My mother bore all that. Hats off to her for taking care of her. Quite possibly many would have institutionalized the girl, left her, would have been absolutely justified. But they stayed on, they took care of her. The suffering intensified. Yes. No, my mother that day, she looked so, so you can understand normally human, she felt embarrassed. She felt terrible. She cried actually that day. I could only I could pacify because I couldn't do anything. What can I do? I can't go to lady side. And when I used to help her, she was so heavy. The girl was so heavy. She would fall in the bathroom sometimes, in the middle of her easing. All kinds of things have happened. Sometimes I had to do that. Mother didn't have the strength to handle her. So suffered with her. Then one day, when getting fits became very common, mother also got accepted. Freda Swami used to happen, Swami will see and then go. When Swami used to pass by darshan, she has had that. Swami never reacted. But the first time he reacted, first time when he saw that, he's standing there, he came down from that, came across that empty area, came straight to my mother. I had found out, I wanted to find some way of clearing her. I could see that she had phlegm stuck in the throat. As long as the phlegm was in the throat, she could not breathe. So the fits was coming. This is how I concluded. So I found a way of trying to clear that, is to pull her ears or pat on the neck, head, some violent thing which will clear that, and she used to do that and become okay. The fits used to stop. I taught my mother also that. She tried all that in front of Swami desperately. She wanted that fits, the shaking to stop. She hit her like this, all that pulled, all that. Swami came all the way to her and said, Amma, why are you doing all this to this girl? This was, I'm translating what he told in Tamil, spoke to my mother in Tamil. Why all this for this girl who is like this? What a mysterious statement. Why all this for this girl who is like this? And went away. He watched the entire thing for the fits to subside. Then he came down and spoke to my mother. It had a double meaning, spiritual meaning also. So we took it that way. And this fits continued. She became worse and worse. Meantime, my parents started pestering. Initially, they were, but Swami knows everything. We have tried everything. So Swami, she is working out her karma. They accepted. Then my father started a refrain, a thought. He started repeating that. Who will take care of this girl? He used to tell me, you are not going to marry. So you cannot take, you'll stay in the hostel. Your brother, elder brother, sister, she can't, they cannot, they have their own families. So she should die first. He used to say that. She should go away. Anytime she should go first. then I cannot stay in those families and you cannot take care of me. So next I should go and tell my mother, you don't worry, your son will take care of you like a Rani. He'll keep you like a Maharani. Maharani ke jaise palega tumhe. So you don't worry, figure mat karna. This girl should go, immediately I should go. About you, I don't know. He told that for 4 or 5 years, he used to hear that. He stopped getting shocked. It was so often he used to say that. Okay, this girl got worse and worse. They started, even my father started, why do you ask Swami? You're not getting involved, you're not doing anything. I also lived with that faith, belief, with that thought, I would say thought, that Swami knows everything, I should not take these family matters to Swami. In fact, in all 40 years of staying with Swami, probably 5 times I've gone to Swami with family matters, and once or twice about my personal matter. I believe that he'll solve everything. And many times he has solved. The same photo, after it came to me about 12 years back, it came to me. Before that, I just prayed, and now I am very casual with this photo with him. Swami, it's beyond my ability. The intelligence that you have given me, the capacity that you have given me, I've used it. I don't have solution notes. Your job, please solve it, and the problem will get solved. And I'll come back and say, thank you, the problem is solved, thank you. This is how I ask him, this is how I respond at it, thank him. So what happened? The parents said, you ask for me, you should ask. No, I had to build up a temerity to ask for me and how to phrase it. One day I got a beautiful chance. It was another experience I'll share with that was in some context. There are 5 of us, so 5 students. Swami called inside. Something. So he called us. It was for something else we wanted Swami to call us. He called us inside. We wanted Swami to bless something. This thread ceremony was coming. We were 5 of us. We wanted a special group. We were waiting. We wanted Swami to bless. So we were holding it. We went in. Swami called in Prashant Layam. He called us inside the interview room. It was about 15-20 minutes before the bhajans, evening bhajans. Evening bhajan that time was from 5:30 to 6 in that period. So at about 5 o'clock, little after 5, he called us. All interviews got over. We were sitting alone. Suddenly word came from inside. Swami is calling all of you. There was one Kyaldas who was in charge of the door. Kyaldas was to come behind Swami. A stout Sindhi person and another tall, stout person. His name was Lal and Kyaldas. Yes, Kyaldas. Swami bula rahe, jaldi aao. So we all ran inside. Before he could say Swami want to bless, he started chatting, general chatting. We might be shocked if we use that word, but he'll just chat. Just casual things he'll talk. Okay, he started chatting with us, and somehow the topic gravitated to one boy among us, among the 5. His father had a huge family. He had 5 brothers and 3 sisters. So that means there were 9 children, 8 children totally, including him, 8 children. Swami once in some context he found out, and after that, repeatedly, at least once a month, I think Swami will ask him, hey, he'll ask him in Tamil, he was a Tamil boy, पिताजी को पिता को कितने हैं, कितने लड़के कितने लड़कियां? Swami, 5 boys, 3 girls. What? So many. Okay, what? No family planning. He used to say that. He will accept. Swami will say something to a person who can take it. So there's another person, very well-built person. क्या इतना बड़ा है? कितना खाता है? रात को कितना चपाती खाता है? Swami, 12 chapati, Swami. Sharam nahi. The open, he was a professor, close devotee of Swami, Professor Bashiruddin. He'll laugh. He'll laugh. Swami says that. Umpteen times, Swami cracked that joke. So this boy, Swami started gravitated to this boy among the 5. Hey, how many children? And then there was a further development this time. A new development. Swami asked, who's the eldest? Swami, son. What has he studied? What is he doing? Married? About every child he asked. When he said fourth, this boy was the 3rd. Then 4th, so the Swami asked, next? Swami, so-and-so. Next? So which class? Swami, 5th, studying 5th. No, 6th, Swami. It's a problem. When you have so many, you don't remember anything. You don't remember. You won't even remember the names. And Swami, I was fond of quoting a former chief minister of Andhra, the combined Andhra Pradesh, and former governor of also of many states, Chenna Reddy. It was said that he had many children, and who had many children. So lots of grandchildren, they all lived together. The joke was that, I don't know how far it is true, and Swami used to say that so many grandchildren, he named them as ABCD because he couldn't remember the names. So Swami used to joke that. We all politely laughed because they heard that 100 times. But we laughed. Our Swami is cracking the joke. We laughed. Then he continued with this boy. The five of us, we were scattered, standing in front of Swami in the interview room. So he was, Swami was seated on the chair. I was closest to Swami on Swami's right. Others were, something like an arc like this. I said, wow. Just a few days back, my parents had told me, ask Swami, you're bugging me. I said, what an opportunity. And I rehearsed my first son. I was half listening to what they are saying and what Swami is asking. The other half of my mind is rehearsing my answers. And when it comes to my sister, full medical condition, details, fates, this, that, I was ready with a medical summary. Okay. And he used to look at me, his glance used to slide over me. And I could see, to my disappointment actually, disappointment and anger also. He was reluctant to talk to me. He didn't want to talk to me. I could sense that in his eyes. He didn't want to talk to me. He finished other four. From the farthest, he jumped like that. It was about 5:40 that time. Bhajans had started. We could hear bhajans. We could hear the door was semi-open. Swami didn't pay attention to the bhajan. He was busy talking to us. At about 5:40, with great reluctance, he turned to me. Nearest to him, he turned. I could sense reluctance. He didn't want to talk to me or ask me details. I don't know why. Later I understood. Let this get over. Let me finish. Nico, you, what about you? Swami, eldest brother, married, working, Tiruvannamalai. Next, Swami's sister. She's in Bangalore, married. Next, Swami's sister. Next, I just started the word sister, the third one. One word I could enter. Swami's sister, I was ready. Swami, she's suffering, fits, this, that. Next, Swami Neno. He looked at the clock. He became conscious. 5:45. ఇంకా బాహ్య ముఖాలు అయిపోయింది. అక్కడ భజనలో కూర్చున్నారు. టైం అయిపోయింది. త్వరగా నమస్కారం చేయండి. Come on, quickly. People are waiting there. Do namaskar. I was there. My breath held up. Gone. He snatched that opportunity. He just shut my mouth. He didn't allow me to talk. We all did namaskar. And we got the Regyovitam. Bless Swami, want one of things. Yes, come quickly. Bless everyone. He rushed out. Normally, he'll wait for everyone to leave. He'll leave last. That day, he ran. First, he ran literally. I thought, Swami, later on, when I used to think about this, Swami, why did I chase you away like this? What is that? He didn't want to listen from me. It was not his wish. I accepted. We all accepted. And when she passed away, I'll end with this. When she passed away, that day morning, I went to ask, I sat right in the front. Swami came out at 6 o'clock. He saw me right in the front because I was supposed to be in Vrindavan. Supposed to go for marriage. He looked at me, came near me. Swami, sister passed away. I told him, Telugu, I used to speak in Telugu. Oh, she died, huh? Then he turned to the ashram secretary, Chiranjirao. See, his sister died. Last time, how food arrangements. Then that day evening, it's a funeral, a lot of things I told last time. And we asked Swami about the interview that I don't want to repeat now. But what I want to highlight now was, I don't know whether I told last time. In the interview, Swami said, my mother asked, Swami, why this should happen to this girl? Immediately Swami did. Amma, you don't understand. Keep quiet. Because of that girl, you all came to me. You don't know anything about her bhakti. You don't know anything about her. She brought all of you here. Then he looked at me and said, this fellow has buddhi. That girl has bhakti. And then we asked, my father asked, he created a ring for me that time. Because I told him I did the karma for her. I kept lit the fire. So everyone felt that as a reward or as acknowledging that Swami gave me that ring. That was people's interpretation. Anyway, I got a ring which disappeared dramatically after 2.5 years. The last part, after interview got over, suddenly my brother realized, what about karma for her? Who can do? My brother can't do, he's married. My father can't do. Who will do? I am brahmachari, I am married, I can't do, I am not permitted as per the Shastras. Who will do? So asked Swami. Swami is told, he sent word from inside. No, sorry, in the interview, Swami, in the interview. Swami said, she's a pure soul. Swami told me, I'm sorry. Swami told me, she's a pure soul. She doesn't need any karma. She has merged in me. So what I wanted to convey through this experience was, we all wished that she will become all right. She will become normal. My mother's grand wish. She was shattered after that. After she died. It took her 2 months to get over that pain. A mother can never get over that. She always sees that idealistic thing. She will not be practical in these things. That's why we need. She's of use. A mother is never practical. But that is the reason why many of us actually alive. The children are alive because of practicality, like doing things which nobody else will think of doing, like rushing into a fire to save, or giving up our life for the sake of the child, or paying, giving up our own comforts for the sake of the child. All these impractical thoughts only help to bring up the child. That's what a mother is for. And Swami was like that. Maybe if I get another chance, maybe I'll share my thoughts. How Swami is a mother? Why do we compare Swami's love to mother's love? So today I try to convey through this what my mother's love was for the child. And how Swami's love is comparable to that but superior to that. Comparable yet superior. All of you have children now. You are also elderly. Your children must be grown up now. They must have completed their schooling, college, must be in jobs also. But there was a time when they were young and small. And that time if somebody had asked them, one of them at the age of say 2, 3, 5, at that age, they would have said, I want to become a doctor. My brother's granddaughter, one, at the age of 5, she used to say, I want to become a doctor. Not just a doctor. She wanted to be a heart doctor. She used to say, I want to be a heart doctor. Her mind was set. Yes, she was ready to become a heart doctor. Could she become the next day? She was 5 years old. It took her another 20 years. She is a cardiac surgeon now in a Swami's hospital. Today she is a cardiac surgeon and she is also pursuing MD, cardiac surgery. But it took 20 years. In the same manner, I feel the goal that Swami has set before us, he has told us, the purpose of human life is self-realization. That is to realize that we are God. We must attain self-realization. I used to wonder why Swami is always speaking about philosophy, about these high thoughts. You won't believe once, the first time sports meet was held. You all know about the sports meet on January 11th. This year and last year we have not had. Otherwise, an unbroken stretch of some 30 years we have had sports meet starting in 1981, the first sports meet, 81, 82. In 81, I had my own experience that time when Swami was talking. But anyway, Swami had come for this. Swami used to give a discourse for prize distribution. 11th used to be the inaugural day. Because in those days, it was called sports inauguration day because after that only we used to have sports. Anantapur girls used to have in their campus, but boys, Vrindavan and Parthi, they used to have the matches, inter-campus matches in Prashanthi Lane for the next 3 days. And on 14th, there used to be prize distribution on the Sankranti day, 14th morning. And that day Swami would speak. The first year, it was public. Swami made it public later on. He wanted devotees also to know how students perform, about the children's prowess, institute students' prowess. But in the initial years, 81, It used to be held in Prashantilayam campus, college auditorium. Swami used to come there. And then Swami used to go to Anantapur for their prize distribution, go to primary school for their prize distribution. He used to travel over the next 2 weeks, he used to go travel like that and spend. For the boys, once he used to come here, the first one, imagine prize distribution for sports performance, football, cricket, caroms, or TT, or sketching, essay writing, prizes waiting there. And what did Swami start with? He started with the 4 Mahavakyas. Aham Brahmasmi. And all this he started and explained. Half the discourse was on these 4 Mahavakyas, each one from one Vedam. Philosophy, high level of philosophy. What's the connection with the sports? And the charm of Swami was suddenly somewhere he'll link, and he'll come to that, whatever the topic is, that when he link sports, our boys have performed so well, these young boys. And then Swami started a trend at that time, Vrindavan boys, young boys, small boys, only degree boys. They did so well. First prize for them, shield. He gave a big shield. The captain and vice captain went and received it. Next, Prashantilayam boys. See, every day they have to come for darshan. They have struggled. But in spite of that, they have done so well. They are also first. He'll give a shield. That time, primary school children also were invited there. Small, these children also first, they gave first shield for everybody. And then higher secondary school, they also got a shield. 4 shields were given. All of them first. So in Swami's eyes, everyone is first. In Swami's eyes, all should get GPA 5. In Swami's eyes, all should be self-realized. In Swami's eyes, all should be bhaktas like Narada and Hanuman. That is the goal he set for us. There was a time in the hostel, there was one boy who knew tailoring. And some minor costume, something for drama, he used to stitch. He came to Swami's eyes, Swami's notice physically. From that time, Swami used to say, standard, he never called him by name, but he say, tailor boy, good boy. I've heard this some 10-15 times in the 5 years of stay along with him. Swami used to say that. Then another boy, some boys used to work in Gokulam taking care of cows. There are bhajan singers. Some boys used to play instruments. Swami will say, some guest will come, Swami will proudly say, see, there are 300 cooks in my hostel. The strength was about 320. 300 tailors in my hostel. 300 gardeners in my hostel. 300 everybody. 300 first rank. And in our innocence that time, immaturity, we think, what is a Swami? Either say Swami is bluffing, see, he's fooling that devotee, or Swami is simply exaggerating things. We used to think like that, feel like that. But the real input came later. I don't know from when I got that thing. I used to wonder why Swami is talking. I didn't think like that, but I used to wonder why Swami is talking like that, leaving himself open to criticism and ridicule. Why? Well, later I understood, he set a standard. This is what I understood later. Everyone should become like that. There is one, but I want everybody to be like that. That's what he wanted. When he used to say, all my boys should get GPA 5. He used to be, that's what he wanted. So in the same manner, I feel, his goal is even now, in a subtle form, in each and residing in each one, every one of us, is waiting for us to realize ourselves. And I don't know if how many of you are aware, in 1980s, there is a we call that kind of newspaper, bulky newspaper, Blitz. It's still there in Mumbai. Is it running? There's a very controversial editor, R.K. Karanjia. He was a bitter critic of Swami, and he used to use very violent, slanderous words for Swami. One day he came to Parthi. I don't know how he came. Swami gave him an interview, and then he wrote it. He became a total devotee after that. God is here on earth in Puttaparthi. That was a catchy, 1 inch tall headlines, front page. God is on earth in Parthi, he wrote. And then he publishes interview. In that, Swami says one line. I quote that. I teach the dance of life to all of you. I am the divine Nataraja, teaching you the dance steps of life. Only I know the pain and the suffering, the struggle of teaching you the steps. And he goes through the process, the pain, like my mother took care of that girl, like every mother brings up the child. Swami, as a human being and as an inner resident now, he is slowly leading us to that. A little more I want to add. How do we know, or how do we actually do that? In Sanskrit, there are two nice statements that describe the two approaches to God. The logic of the approach. I'm sorry. One is Marjalaka Nyaya, cat-like approach. The other one is Markata Nyaya, the monkey-like approach. To see a monkey's child, baby monkey, it will be playing around the mother or father. When some danger comes, mother perceives a danger, she'll give one special sound. I've noticed that. A special sound, immediately all the kids will gather around, baby monkeys. And the youngest one will come and cling on her chest. The mother will start leaping the tree. She'll just give enough time for the child. I've seen sometimes the child gets dropped. It falls down. That's it. The child didn't grab properly in the right moment, it's gone, it's lost. It might be picked up by the dog or the tiger. Whereas cat, the baby kitten, that's gone. She is totally helpless. The kid, totally helpless. The mother will pick up by the neck, take her from place to place. So the two approaches to God is, the two logics are, one is, you catch Swami's feet. I catch Swami's feet and say, whatever test you give, however much you trouble me, whatever troubles you give me, I will not leave you. I've caught your feet. This is one approach. Other one, God, I'm helpless. I don't know anything. You take care of me. I don't know what to do. For the first one, illustration, catching God's feet, Hanuman is one such. Kunti, another such. Second one, helpless, Samartha Ramdas was one such. They totally surrendered. We have had examples. Meera was one, first approach. She clung in spite of all the difficulties. So we have ideals before us who showed us how we can reach God and how to reach that self-realization, which is what Swami wants from us. This is one thing which we all, I feel, very lovingly, I request that we should give up such an attitude that, how can I do it? I am not like this. Swami does not like that weak approach, weak thinking. He wants us to be like lions. He wants us to feel, because He's our God. When He's that behind us, why should we think in that helpless manner? We should be like a king. We should feel, yes, I will do what He wants. Instead of saying, can I do it? I cannot. I won't be able to do it. You are great. I am ordinary. I feel that such thoughts are actually self-defeating. They will hinder our progress. It is not that we should feel, yes, I can achieve. I'm not going to say that. But I'll say that confidently, yes, I'll try today. But every day, even if there are slips, like King Bruce multiplied 1,000 times, million times. I think we all know the story of King Bruce and the spider. King Bruce was a king in England who kept on getting defeated. No, the King Bruce and the spider is a nice elementary story that we have read in the school. We should be 1,000 times like him, million times like him. Never give up. There's nothing like giving up. Should keep trying. And there is one thing, is that we should never condemn ourselves, nor should we judge ourselves. I should never judge my progress. I should never condemn myself, and I should not compare myself. And lastly, I should not have pride also in myself. Should not have pride also. Even saying that you are great, I am ordinary, that's a kind of inverted egoism. It's not my words, Swami has said. It's inverted egoism. There's an I-ness there, which is what we have to lose. So we just do. We sincerely find out our own path. What is my path? I have to inquire. And how will that come? Through meditation, through ceaseless work. He will set us right. He'll put us in the right path. Our job is to keep going, keep going. So, how do I know what my progress is? I'll never know. One way is the way people react to us. That gives us an idea of people. I have experienced so many times when I used to go to Bangalore city for any work, I have noticed people walking past, total strangers. Now we all look at each other. No? When we pass by, we just glance at each other. They'll glance and look back once again. They'll look back. And I've seen this happening to a lot of Sai devotees, not just Sai devotees, good people. I myself have seen some people, I get attracted to a man or woman. It's not the gender that matters, but there's something in the face that catches you, isn't it? Sometimes we feel like looking at that person again. There is something in the face. And that inner glory, inner beauty or brightness is what our sadhana gives us. It's a learning process. It's not that at the very first attempt, we come to know the right way to do things.
Yes.
We learn, and that comes by constantly, by surrendering to him and constantly referring to him. Swami, what I'm doing, is it correct? Swami, please let me know. Pray through prayers and through meditation. You will get hint. Somebody will come and tell us something. I know we all have experience, no? At the right moment, somebody will come and tell something and it strikes you. Or you open a book, you read a line, it strikes you. Like it happened to me, the topic for the previous one. You know, when you feel from the inside that goes beyond your likes and dislikes, then that thought is God's voice, I feel. That's my experience. Sairam. Thank you all.